Hello, good morning. Our first issue is Virgin Galactic's Unity 22 mission. Recently, Virgin Galactic, a private space commerce company, has reached 88 kilometers altitude through this particular space mission Unity 2022. That means this spaceship reached at the altitude of 88 kilometers, achieved the speed of Mach 3, that means 3 times the speed of the sound. The crew has experienced 3 to 4 minutes of weightlessness and then it has landed as like a normal aeroplane. One of the significant features of this one is it takes off and lands like a normal aeroplane. That's the significance of this. And this is first step towards space commerce, space tourism. In general, Karma Online, that is at 100 kilometers, is considered as space. But many organizations like NASA and US Aeronautical Commission, they consider 80 kilometers as the beginning of the space. That's why this particular Virgin Galactic's mission, Spaceship 2, SS2, has reached 88 kilometers altitude. That means they crossed the Earth's sphere and entered into space. There are other space commerce companies such as Blue Origin, SpaceX. These are also trying for commercializing this space tourism. And this Virgin Galactic company already sold out private rides at one ticket costing 1 crore 75 lakh rupees. There are many takers for that. Next year, they are going to start the commercial tourism, commercial space tourism. Next issue is UP's new population policy 2021 and 2030. Population is said to be one of the high population is said to be one of the causes for poverty because it leads to resource scarcity. In that context, UP has brought in this policy to decrease the total fertility rates from 2.7 to 2.1 by 2026 and 1.7 by 2030, and modern use of contraceptives, a male method of contraception, use of male method of contraception, decreasing the maternal mortality, infant mortality, these have been the targets. And one of the things issues discussed in this is two-child norm. Two-child norm is made mandatory, especially when you want to enter into jobs or educational institutions. Some criticize that this is a forced method. See, these things, these goals are needed. Yes, agreed. But how do we achieve? What is the path to achieve it? That should change. That's the criticism from others. That is, if you are forcing others to go through these things, that might lead to negative consequences like how China is facing now. But if you voluntarily, let's say, increase the women's education, increase the reproductive choices of the women, increase the economic opportunities, that automatically reduces the TFR and all these things. If you observe the developed countries, European countries, etc., or Indian states such as Kerala, Himachal Pradesh, they have population stability not because of these kind of policies but because of the enhancement in the social sector. So that can be understood from this particular thing. Next issue is Chinese protests against the Dalai Lama's birthday. Dalai Lama is Tibetan Buddhist spiritual guru. Dalai Lama's birthday is celebrated in India. Across LAC, Chinese citizens, they have protested. LAC runs across Indus River, so on that side of the bank they protested. Dalai Lama's issue has been constant conflicting issue between India and China. When Dalai Lama crossed Tibetan border and entered into India, India has granted asylum. After few years, India and China both went on for a war. So this Tibetan issue has been a sensitive issue between India and China. In this context, celebration of Dalai Lama's birthday has greeted with the protests. But India said, this is our territory. In our territory we are celebrating. We are not coming to your territory and celebrating. This is our territory and we have the right. That's India's stand. Next issue is Kesaria Buddha Stupa. This is the first construction which is nationally protected. It is dated around 3rd century BC and it is regarded as the largest stupa, Buddhist stupa in the world. So as of now, among the existing ones, this is the biggest one. And stupa's exploration started in 19th century by Colonel Mackenzie. And it was excavated during General Cunningham's rule. And in 1998, ASI, Archaeological Survey of India team, they have excavated this site properly, and from then onwards we are protecting it. Kesaria Buddha Stupa. This waterlogging might lead to damage of this stupa. In this context, ASI is thinking of alternatives to protect this particular area. Next issue is light combat aircraft. Recently, HAL, that is Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, said that we are going to deliver 3 light combat aircraft. Light combat aircraft, Tejas is the name. So presently, Army has 90 advanced light helicopters, 675 Rudra helicopters, weaponized advanced light helicopters, Cheetah. So likewise, we have many helicopters, and some of them need urgent replacement. In that context, development of light combat aircraft, which is indigenously built, is of significance to India. One, it reduces the dependence on other countries. Two, it increases the capabilities of Indian defense forces. Three, it reduces the need for forex reserves. It lessens the forex reserve necessity to import the defense equipment. Next issue is Puri Jagannath Yatra. Second time in the row, Puri Jagannath Yatra was allowed without any devotees because of the COVID restrictions. Puri Jagannath Temple is 12th century temple. 3 chariots. Taladvaja of Lord Balabhadra, Nidigosha of Lord Jagannatha, Debalamba of Devi Subhadra. These 3 chariots were pulled by Sevayats. Sevayats means traditional priests. So this particular temple belongs to Vaishnavite cult, Puri Jagannath temple, and its architecture is also important. Odisha style of Rekha architecture. So you have to go through it once, important one. Now let us understand the editorials. Cooperative spirit. Recently, cooperative ministry was brought in. In the development process, we have 3 primary agents. One is state, that means government. 2 is private sector. 3 is cooperative. So cooperatives play an important role. In India, the legal architecture for cooperative sector began since 1904 during colonial period itself. In 2002, Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act, this was passed to regulate the cooperatives and to encourage it during this liberalization period. In 1991, after LPG reforms, cooperative sector got affected. In this context, this law was brought in. Cooperatives fall under state list under 7th schedule. In this context, there is no uniformity across the country. We need uniformity, agreed, but we don't need command authority. Ministry can catalyst, but if it centralizes the resources, it might get affected. See, cooperative movement played a significant role in poverty alleviation, food security, management of natural resource and environment. In this context, ministry should act as a catalyst, not as a commanding authority. Next issue is Kerala model for anti-discrimination law. In India, discriminatory practices exist in all walks of our society. Religion, gender, caste, many factors are there, language, etc. And the Indian Constitution under Article 15.1 says that no discrimination on the grounds of race, religion, sex, caste, gender, these things. But this protection is for state. State cannot discriminate. That's the thing. Not for the private individuals. It's limited to state discrimination only. In this context, Sachar Committee in 2006 said that anti-discrimination law need to be brought in, the Sachar Committee on minority issues. And then there's Equal Opportunity Commission headed by N.R. Madhav Menon. This committee also has reiterated to bring in the anti-discrimination law. In Kerala, anti-discrimination and equality bill was proposed, not yet been passed, but now again law ministry is taking up this, law department is taking up to pass this particular bill in the legislative assembly. In this context, once if this bill passes, it might become a role model for other states to emulate. Next issue is Italy, Japan and India trilateral relation with regard to Indo-Pacific strategy. With regard to Indo-Pacific, we are part of Quad grouping. Recently, Italy has shown interest to join in Indo-Pacific strategy wherein Japan, India and Italy can form a trilateral grouping and they can cooperate in this particular sector. India is proactively evolving Indo-Pacific strategy. In this context, This strategic cooperation augurs well for European countries, South Asian countries like India, and East Asian countries like Japan. Next issue is tapping the potential of youth. July 11th is celebrated as World Population Day, first observed in 1989 by United Nations Development Program. It is to encourage the discourse on the sustainable ways to safeguard the population. In India, we have 62% of population between 15 to 59 years. Median age is less than 30 years. In this context, there is a demographic window that exists. If we use it, it becomes demographic dividend. If we misuse it, it becomes demographic mishap. In this context, investing on education and health is utmost necessity. If you take East Asia's economic miracle from 1965 to 1990, how East Asian countries evolved, like Japan, South Korea, and other East Asian countries, if we observe, they invested more on education and health. Now, this is the imperative now. India should invest more on education and health, new education policy, and the necessity for investment in health. These should drive India's policy towards demographic dividend. Thank you very much. All the very best.